Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full in-depth review with the pros and cons of this Nothing Phone 3A. And I've been actually testing this smartphone for the last 2.5 weeks or so. And I also have the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, but I would not recommend this one. I'll talk about that later. And this video can be a little bit long because I'm going to go in depth regarding this smartphone so that people who are interested in buying decision can go over it. I have made a lot of notes over this one, so we will go after each and every aspect that is actually important. But first, let me actually give you the summary first itself for those people who are impatient. Let me talk about the summary. What do I feel about the Nothing Phone 3A? Nothing Phone 3A is an excellent mid-range Android phone with decent performance and no adware or bloatware apps. Wish Pixel A series was like this, I would say, because this does not have any heating issues, and even the battery life is actually very good, and it offers that clean Android sort of experience with the Nothing OS flavor. The phone performs well in regular usage. There was no heating and gets actually very good battery life, and the camera is also pretty decent, I would say. I have no problems recommending this phone to my friends and family members who don't want to spend more than 25,000 rupees on a smartphone but want a balanced smartphone without any bloatware and a clean OS experience. But for hardcore gamers, I would say look at Poco series or even the iQOO series, as you can get slightly better processors that might be better for gaming. On the other hand, I find the Nothing Phone 3A Pro not to be that value, because the price gap between these two smartphones is about 5,000, and only difference is the slight improvement in the rear facing camera. Apart from that, and yes, the front facing camera on this one can record in 4K video, whereas you can't do that on this one. So yeah, you heard that ringtone about it. Sorry about it. So the ringtones is loud. So I would definitely say if it's the value proposition, definitely the Nothing Phone 3A is more value. Yes, the price gap is about 5,000 between these two smartphones, but for pure value, this is better. And as we are talking about value and all those things, let me also talk about the pricing. You can get this one. It starts at 25,000, but as of now, you're getting 2,000 rupees. What do you say? Credit card, bank discount, or whatever. So it starts at about 23,000. So first, before I dwell into this one, let me actually compare it with the Nothing Phone 2A. That is the successor to this one. And the biggest difference, I would say, is that this one actually had that plastic back. Hence, it was a fingerprint magnet, I would say. And yes, if you notice closely, there are some nicks, etc. on this one because it's plastic. Here now they have gone with the glass design, so definitely when you pick it up for the first time, this feels a lot more premium. But again, this is Panda Glass they are using. They should have gone with Gorilla Glass, both for the front and back. It's the same. And also the phone, if you look at it, has become a little bit on the larger side, definitely. And I think so that's a wrong area, because this is definitely a pretty big and a wide phone, having a 6.67 inch screen, so it's definitely more wider. This was slightly more comfortable to hold in hand. So if you this is definitely a big phone. So again, for if you have small hands, it's a two-handed device. So that is something I have noticed. I like the size of this one. I don't know why they had to make it this big. But one thing that I immediately noticed, yes, both of them are having an AMOLED screen, and again, even on this one, it's a 120 hertz screen. And again, if you notice, it's very fluid. But one thing I noticed is that I'll open the same web page, Economic Times, and let me just refresh it. Let me also refresh this one. Okay, so same page, and if you notice closely, let me just lower the brightness also slightly on this one. The colors, the panel used on this one is slightly better. If you notice, the whites are a lot more whiter on this one compared to the Nothing Phone 2A. So that is, again, I have noticed, and this is also making a difference in direct sunlight outdoors. I would say this was a lot more legible in direct sunlight. So they have actually put a nice AMOLED panel on this one, and again, it's at 120 Hertz. I did not have any issues with this one. And the big deal is that many of these phones in this price range, when you use it in direct sunlight, the screen is hardly visible, but here it's actually pretty decent, I would say. So overall, it's actually a nice experience that you're getting. And again, the glass, because of the glass back, even when you hold it, it feels a little bit more premium, I would say. So this is how it looks from the back. So definitely I would say it feels like a upgrade in the build quality, definitely, if you're coming from this one. But again, I like the size of this one. This is slightly compact and ideal, I would say. This is slightly on those bigger size smartphone. Now coming to the outer chases, this is actually made up of polycarbonate with a fiber mix, 20% fiber, so it's not metallic, but again, does not feel very flimsy, I would say. But the internal frame that we have on this smartphone, the inside frame, is made up of aluminum. So that's what it is. But outer shell, still, it's that polycarbonate plastic kind of a thing that was used even on this one. So one new addition that we have on this one is this essential key. Let me quickly talk about it. Right now, I would say you can use this one as a, if you just press it once, it takes a screenshot, and now you can add a note to this one, a voice note, or let's say, what's it, Trump or whatever, sanctions or whatever. So later on I can come to this, and it goes in a shelf, and you, to access that essential shelf, you just double tap, and if you open this space, all your stuff, whatever you've done like that, actually gets stored into this. You can also record voice notes, and this is supposed to be AI enabled, but as of now, it's, I would say, this is evolving. Not all the features are there. So I would say this button as of now is a hyper version of the pixel screenshot that we had. So that's what it is. Great to take screenshot. In future, it says if you have notes and etc., it can extract that text and get intelligence, but as of now it's not enabled, and they say that that will be enabled or coming in the future. So that is what is regarding this button. Bottom, again, speakers. This also has stereo speakers, and I'm happy to see, again, you don't have a vent over here, and the front speaker sound comes from here, but it's actually pretty loud and adequate. So I did not have any problems regarding the speakers on this one. And one thing to note is that in India, the maximum RAM that you can get with the 3A variant is 8 gigabytes of RAM, but in European countries you also have a 12 gigabyte RAM variant, but for some reason they did not launch the 12 gigabyte RAM variant of this smartphone. The in-display fingerprint scanner is actually good on this one. Let me just remove this some notification. And so this is actually good. So I didn't have a problem. It's slightly on the lower side. It should have been here, but again, it works actually very well. So that way, I would say, once I also actually took me about a day or two to get used to the size, because the width is a little slightly on the larger side. This feels like using the iPhone Max series phone. That is what it is regarding the width, I would say. The thing that stands out among this smartphone compared to many of the Android phones in this price range is the Nothing OS on this one. And this is, I would say, a very clean Android experience. We did not have any, what do you say, extra bloatware or crappy apps generally that we find on most of the Android smartphone in this range. For example, let's say you take Vivo's phone, Oppo phones, and even Xiaomi phones. They have a bunch of extra stuff and apps. That was not the case. And if you go to the left, again, it's a very clean stock kind of Android experience. But you'll notice one thing is that the icons on this one are all grayed out, and when you are setting up the phone, you have an option of that. For example, on this one I didn't do it completely on the older phone, and as you can see, some of the icons are in color. So you can obviously have it in color like this, but there was an option of this one, so I opted for this one. So gives a nice look, I would say. Even on this Pro, as you can see, I did not enable all the icons for the grayscale. So yeah, some of them are in color, so you have that option, but here I enabled that grayscale option. So that's what it is, and gives a very different kind of a vibe, I would say. One thing I like about this OS is that they have added and worked a lot on the widgets. For example, the weather widget is a lot lot better, I would say. And again, we also have this widget that shows the screen on time that you're doing, and even you have a lot of customization on the lock screen. For example, on the lock screen, I've set it to the pedometer, so how much I'm walking, etc. It gives an idea, the weather and all those things. So this is also a little bit more customizable, I would say. So in terms of customization and bloat-free experience, I would say they have actually done a very good job. I would say this comes very close to the Pixel sort of experience that you can get, and even the Motorola also has started adding some extra apps now in their smartphones in this range, but here I'm happy to see that they are not doing it. And again, this is also very, very clean. Again, you have a lot of toggles over here, you can remove it and stuff. I have kept it actually very, very clean. So that's what it is. So if you are a person who does not like that extra bloatware, adware apps and extra stuff hogging your smartphone, you will like this experience. I'm happy to see that they haven't added a lot of junkware on this one. In terms of general performance also, if you notice, the phone is actually pretty fast. I'm using the 120 Hertz. Let me just show you. If I go towards the setting, and again, this is the layout that you're getting, and in display, as you can see, you have I have kept it on high refresh rate, and throughout my testing for the last 2 weeks, I have kept it to actually 120 Hertz. But by default, when you get it, it will be on dynamic. Maybe if you keep on dynamic, maybe you can eke out about 1 or 2 hours extra battery life. But I did all my testing on the high setting, and I did not have any issues. So I would say it's a very, very fluid experience. In fact, actually much more fluid than what I expected. Yes, I noticed some minor stutters at time, I would say just about 2-3% of the time, and that was happening only when I was extensively using the camera and coming back to the device. Then only I noticed a little bit of stutter, but for the rest of the usage, I would say it's a very, very fluid and smooth experience. So I feel, I always say that Android, many of the youngsters just get excited about the hardware specs. Hardware specs with software optimization is super, super important, and I think so the Nothing team has done a good job in that software optimization part. Coming to the Android upgrades on this one, if I go to about the phone, as you can see, this is Nothing Phone 3A, and this is the Nothing Phone 3.1, which is nothing but Android 15, and they are promising next 3 years of Android upgrades and 6 years of security updates. So that is what it is. And again, you can have a look at this one. These are the specs of the smartphone. Again, as I've told you, in India, the maximum RAM that you can get is 8 gigabytes, and the storage is 256 gigabytes. Also, the base variant will come with 128 gigabytes of storage. One thing to note is that, and here I'm a little bit unhappy, they're using UFS 2.2 storage, and for the most part, as I've told you, the phone is not laggy. It's very, very smooth. But as this is just having 8 gigabytes of RAM, I am actually using the RAM booster on it, this one, for that additional 4 gigabytes of RAM. And I think so when I was coming out from the camera, that minor lag, etc., that I was seeing, maybe because of the UFS 2.2 storage, and I was using that RAM booster. So that's the only nitpicking that I have regarding that. And I don't know why they didn't launch the 12 gigabyte RAM variant in India. Now coming to another thing is regarding the cellular call quality on the smartphone. As I've told you, I've used this for over 2 weeks, and in fact 4 days I was completely out of Hyderabad, traveling to Bangalore. Around Bangalore, I actually drove in the car. So for the four and a half days, I was completely only on mobile data, and I have to say the cellular call quality on this one is excellent. If you're even a business person, you take long calls, sometimes in meetings and stuff, you have to take long cellular calls for 15-20 minutes. No issues with the smartphone, no proximity sensor issue or whatsoever. So in terms of cellular call quality and the earpiece, you are actually getting a very good one. And also, if you take calls, for example, when I was in the car, I took some calls via the speaker phone, and the speaker phone is also adequately loud on this one. So that way, I would say they have done a good job. And yes, of course, it does support Wi-Fi 6. As you can see, I have a Wi-Fi 6 router, and it is connected to the Wi-Fi 6 router. Even in terms of Wi-Fi, I did not have any issues. Wi-Fi calling is also there, and that works. So in terms of the basic calls and networking that you have, Wi-Fi and all these things, I did not have any issues with this smartphone. Now coming to haptics, I was surprised to see that the haptics for a smartphone priced around this price point, that 24-25,000, has been done well. Yes, please don't compare it with flagships that cost 70,000, 80,000, but the haptics on this one are done actually well. Let's also talk about the general usage, and with the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, this is having the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. Again guys, this is the clocked down version of the regular Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, I would say. And in day-to-day operations, as I've told you, I don't have any problems with this one. Let me, auto brightness is going crazy. Okay, let me brighten it down. So in day-to-day performance, again, as I've told you, no lag or whatever. And again, one more thing is that even with regular usage, I would say day-to-day usage, I did not have any heating issues on this smartphone. So some people get worried about heating and stuff. This smartphone hardly gets warm because it's that 7S Gen 3 is not a super powerful processor. Next thing is regarding the battery, and because of that processor, and this is having that 5000 milliamp hour battery, the battery life that I was getting is also actually very good. Let me actually show you the stats. I didn't charge it from yesterday. And again guys, all my battery starts are with single SIM. That is my primary SIM. I'm using my Airtel SIM on this one, and generally all my testing, all my reviews I generally do with a single SIM. So again, all this testing is based on a single SIM usage. Let me actually show you the battery stats. If I go to the battery, as you can see, still we have about 55% battery left. And let's see, I had charged it Tuesday morning. I had took it out, and today it's Wednesday, almost it'll be 11. So I've already got a screen on time of 5 hours 29 minutes, and we still have about 55% battery life left. Let me actually show you some screenshots that I've took about the battery when I was traveling and stuff. Where is it? Does it screenshots? Yeah, let's go to the screenshots, and as you can see, this was what at it was 11% battery life left, and almost 2.5 days between the charges. Screen on time of 8 hours 15 minutes that I got, and this is mixed usage guys. I would say it was like 40% time on mobile data and 60% on and this one 8 hours 22 minutes. We still had about 12% battery life. Again, notice the charge, I didn't have to charge it every day. Charge it after only after about 2.5 days of usage. And this battery start was one, I was only on mobile data, and again here also, as you can see, I got very good battery life. So you could say you can expect a screen on time of anywhere between 7 hours to 9 hours easily with this smartphone. And for normal casual users, you can charge it once in 2 days. But even if you're sort of a heavy user, and if you charge your smartphone typically at night, you can get about 9-10 hours of SOT with this smartphone. So in terms of battery life, it actually performed very, very well. This one now has a triple camera. This is an upgrade, I would say, from the Nothing Phone 2A, which actually just had a 2 camera setup. This is having a 3 camera setup. The main camera is a 50 megapixel, which has OIS. Now we also have a 2x zoom, which is also again 50 megapixel, and we have a ultra wide, which is a Sony sensor of 8 megapixel. And I would say the camera performance is decent, as you can see with this shots. But again, I've already posted a dedicated video regarding the camera performance. It's a 8-9 minute video which goes in depth about this one. Again, check out that for more info. Okay, so that's what's about the good things about this device. Now let's talk about some of the things I did not like with this device, the cons, I would say. One thing I noticed is that, I don't know if it's the review notes or whatever, the volume button has a wobble, and I thought, okay, this is the 3A, fine. The power button, slightly less, I would say, but even this essential button, the volume button, have a slight wobble towards it. And so I got a little bit curious. Okay, well, let's test it on this 3A Pro. And surprisingly, on the 3A Pro, it's even more play that I have. So I don't know if this is just these are review units, this early batch, but this is something I do not like, I would say, because yes, they claim to be IP64, but if the buttons are slightly loose and wobble and this phone falls into the water can leak actually to the motherboard. So that is something I did not like, because I have two units and both are exhibiting the same. Next thing is regarding the RAM management. I've already told you, because of that 8 gigabytes of RAM, I've noticed that the RAM management is slightly on the aggressive side of the smartphone. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it boots out every app that you're using, but for example, let's say you were using YouTube and you did other work, etc. Let's say you went to X, or did some browsing stuff, and came after a couple of hours and opened YouTube. As you can see, it reloaded my YouTube, so it does not keep that in memory. So there is a tendency of like actually booting out some of the apps from RAM. So I think so that is because the RAM management is on the aggressive side of this smartphone. But don't get me wrong, I did not have any issues with the critical apps. For example, Truecaller, which has to be in memory, never had an issue. I always got the notification. I also have this MyGate app for security of our society. I always get the notifications. WhatsApp also, again, I did not miss any notification, or with the SMS app, etc. But again, yes, if you are using some apps and coming after some time, it has a tendency to reload the heavy apps, and the RAM management is definitely on the aggressive side. As I've told you, the storage is UFS 2.2, not a big deal breaker, but again, I would say at least for the Pro, they should have gone with the UFS 3.1. The Pro is just a Pro moniker, I would say, simply does not make sense, because the Pro is also having exactly the same hardware, same processor, same RAM, and even the same storage type. It's just the rear camera from the 2x zoom is becoming the 3x zoom, and again the front facing camera, this one has a 32 megapixel and this one is having a 15 megapixel. So that's why I say the Pro moniker on this one does not make that much sense. And also in terms of in-hand feel, the regular 3A feels a lot more balanced device. The Pro, because of this camera ring, is 10 grams heavier, and it's actually top heavy, I will have to say. Next thing I do not like is that, yes, you get just this box, and if you notice, the box is pretty slim, not much. You just get a cable and a SIM ejector tool, no charger in the box. And here I'm a little bit annoyed because they say that they have increased the charging speed to 50 watts. I have a couple of PD chargers, older PD chargers, PD charger that is a 65 watt PD charger, and also 100 watt PD charger, and I generally charge many of the smartphones with that one. In fact, if I recall, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra also doesn't come with a charger, and I charged that smartphone with that PD charger, and yes, it was charging at 40 watts. But this smartphone, for some reason, in fact, as I've told you, two PD chargers, was simply not charging at very high speeds. It was charging just at about 20-21 watts. So yes, they claim that 50 watt charging or whatever, but again, I feel if you want to take advantage of that 50 watt charging or something like that, then you might have to end up buying a specific nothing charger, and that will cost you extra, I don't know, about $1,000 or something. So that is also something you have to take into account. There is no charger bundle in the box. So yes, they are advertising that 50 watt charging, but again, if you're using a generic PD charger, don't expect to get those 50 watt charging rates. Yes, I like that they have moved from the plastic, which feels very, very grimy, and again, as you see, fingerprint magnet, to glass, feels a lot more premium to hold and avoids those fingerprints. But again, this is Panda Glass. I feel, I don't know, I have dropped it once on a hard floor when I was traveling, as I've told you. Again, it didn't shatter or didn't get any nicks, so that's good. But I don't know, I feel most people, they should have gone with the variant of Gorilla Glass, in my frank opinion. Also, some of you will ask, there is actually a screen protector actually pre-applied on this smartphone. I haven't actually removed it, so there is a screen protector that was pre-applied to the smartphone. Another thing, as you have seen in the and if you are not, again, watch my camera review of this one. That's a dedicated video. For some reason, though this is a 32 megapixel front facing camera, they have disabled 4K video recording just to sell the Pro version. The Pro version has 4K video recording from the front-facing camera. Yes, the rear-facing camera does 4K video recording with the main lens. And lastly, yes, we also have this Glyph lighting, these 3 Glyph lightings on this one. And to be very frank, I'm not sold regarding the Glyph lighting. The only place where I use the Glyph lighting is when you do this flick to keep, it just lights up to show me that it has gone in the do not disturb mode. But apart from that, the Glyph lighting personally for me is not a big selling point. So this was the Nothing Phone 3A with its pros and cons, and I would still say that if you are on a tight budget below 25,000 or something like that, and overall if you want a good balanced smartphone without that adware or a bloatware experience, and it's a fast and a fluid phone, you can certainly go with this one. But again, if you are sort of a hardcore gamer, then I would not go with this one. So guys, this was my review of the Nothing Phone 3A. Do let me know what do you feel about the same. And guys, if you're still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you like this review, hit that thumbs up button. It will give me confidence to put out more reviews. Anyways guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.